their session privately just to make it work. Okay. So, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala Rasulihi Kareem. Amma ba'd. Fa'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Now, we spoke about numbers in Badr. In the last class, we said 300 plus Muslims. So there were 310 and an odd number, whether it's 311, 13, 15, 17, 19. Allah knows best, but it was 310 plus an odd number. The kuffar were give or take 1300, 1200, 1300, different narrations, different thing, but over 1000. We also spoke about the drama that Damdama created. Does anyone know, remember what was the drama this guy created, the false thing that he created when he went to Makkah and doing this whole drama thing? Anyone? You remember he cut off the nose of his camel and all the blood on him, and then he was like, "Oh, we have been attacked, and so on and so forth," isn't it? And lastly, we also spoke about a guy as an Ansari Sahabi called Ibn Maktoum. He was made a mayor or administrator of Medina city in the absence of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What is the significance of this guy becoming a mayor? What was that significant 1447 years ago? Come on, guys. This was something we spoke on in quite a bit of length.
He was important.
No, he wasn't important at all.
He was something.
There was something that made him important. He wasn't important himself. There was something in him that made him so unique.
Was he blind?
Yes, he was blind. And this was the first time ever anyone saw in the documented history that a blind person was made a mayor or administrator of a very happening city like Medina then, but any city. So blind men were never appointed mayors or administrators. There is no reference whatsoever. And he was made. And remember, I told you guys, have you seen Mayor of London as blind, or Mayor of Reading as blind, or even Chief Justice being blind, or Chief of Army Staff being blind, Prime Minister being blind? No, not even partially blind, not even color blind. They have to be physically fit, right? But here this guy becomes the administrator, which shows the diversity and equality of our religion, you know. Right, moving on. From a logistics point of view, we discussed that before reaching Badr, the prophets camped in an area between Medina and Badr, and this is the place where he assessed his troops. And while he was assessing his troops, he sent 2 under-14s back. Well, sorry. One of them was Abdullah bin Umar and one was Barrah bin Abdullah. Now, at this stage, he gave the flag of Muslims to Muaz ibn Jabal. Muaz ibn Jabal. Can anyone remind me who is Muaz ibn Jabal? A long silence.
Was he held the flag?
Oh, he held a flag. That's why he was given the flag. But who is Muaz ibn Jabal? Anyone remembers anything about him?
Was he like the first one to like shoot an arrow?
No, that was Saad ibn Abi Waqqas. Muaz ibn Jabal. When you said he was the first one, I was like, oh, I think he got it. But he was the first one to do something. So who led the very first Jummah prayer?
Was it Umar?
No, come on, guys. I'm talking about Muaz ibn Jabal. So when I ask a question, who led the first Jummah prayer, who is it going to be? So you remember, going back, let's sort of go back in time. So the Prophet sent Muaz ibn Jabal to Medina to teach them about Islam. And then a lot of people started converting. And we know that about 100, not 100, about 200 to 250 people became Muslims on the hand of Muaz ibn Jabal. So when initially there were about 40, 50 Muslims, the Prophet asked him to lead Jummah prayer, and he is the first one who led a Jummah congregation. So when we ask who led the first Jummah prayer as a Jamaat in Islam, it is not Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, because he's in Makkah. They are not allowed to pray outside, right? So he is the guy who led the prayer. The first Jummah was led by Muadh ibn Jabal, and he is the one who was sent to Medina to live with them and teach them Islam. So when the Prophet gave him the flag, he was a Muhajir, but he was very close to the Medina people, to the Ansars, because he has been living with them. And most of them, 99% of them, have taken Islam on his hand because he was there before, right? So Muaz ibn Jabal is of that authority. Now, Prophet ﷺ now, he knew when they were camped that this, and the scouts came back and they said the kuffar are coming. They are a 1200 strong army, and they are um, armored to the teeth, and they are going to, like, it's going to be a very bloody battle now. Um, so the Prophet, without a hint of any doubt, he knew that there will be a battle now. So he wanted to see what the feeling is, because people, you remember when they came out in for the Badr, they were not armed. Most of them had their small swords, knives, something like that, only whatever they had, because they initially came only to get to the caravan. The whole thing was never meant as a battle. It was always a skirmish, maximum a skirmish. The whole thing was go in, take the caravan, and come back. So in and out operation, and that's about it. So the Prophet asked about the feeling about people, because they are now going to go into a battle with no weapons, nothing. So Hazrat Abu Bakr, he stood up and he gave a very, very rousing speech. He said, "O Messenger of Allah, proceed where Allah directs you, for we are with you. We will not say as the children of Israel said to Musa alayhi salam." The children of Israel he refers to said to Musa alayhi salam, "Go you and your Lord and fight, and we will stay here." And then Abu Bakr continued and he said, "We shall say, go you and your Lord and fight, and we will fight along with you." So the Prophet made dua for Hazrat Abu Bakr and he was quite happy. But then he said, "No, someone else." Hazrat Umar stood up and he gave a very rousing speech. Prophet said, "Someone else." Another Sahabi stood up and he gave a very rousing speech. The Prophet said, fourth time, "Someone else." And this time, Saad ibn Muaz, he is the leader of the Ansars. He stood up and said, "Ya Rasulullah, do you want us Ansars to speak?" The Prophet said, "Naam, yes, I want you to speak." As in the Ansars. And this is where Saad ibn Muaz gave such an eloquent speech that it cannot have any translation in English. When we translate it into English, the whole uh, the zaika, the taste of the the words he has spoken is just lost. But for what it's worth, and I'll tell you the stature of Saad ibn Muaz after this speech, why his stature was what it was. So he said, "O Prophet of Allah, we believe in you and we bear witness to what you have granted to us. And we declare in clear terms that what you have brought is truth. We give you our firm pledge of obedience and sacrifice. We will obey you most willingly in whatever you command us, and by Allah who has sent you to us. If you asked us to throw ourselves in the sea, we will do that most readily, and not a man will stay behind." This term is not exactly sea. The term he basically used in Arabic means, if you were to ask us to throw beyond the reaches of the universe, we will throw ourselves out there and we will not even ask you a question about it. And you will see every one of us just follow you, and that's about it. This was so profound that the Prophet was so happy that it was like, okay, now, And this is when the Prophet gave them a khushkhabri, a good news. And he said, move ahead and receive good news, for Allah has promised me one of the two things. One is capturing the booty, and second is uh, that Allah will give us success, you know. Now, on a side note, Saad ibn Muaz is the only Sahabi and anyone in Islamic history when he died as a martyr in Ghazwa Khaybar. We'll talk about it in few months. He is the only Sahabi and only person, even in prophets, when we talk about prophets, the Sahaba, the companions, anyone, that when he died, the Prophet said, today is the second time Allah's throne has shook. What was the first time? Allah knows best. But the Prophet said, today is the second time when Allah's throne has shaken on the death of Saad ibn Muaz. He had such a high stature. And imagine right now they're unarmed. And what is he saying? You go and tell us where to throw ourselves. And we'll just come and follow you. We'll do Samena wa Atana. Whatever we hear from you, we'll just obey it as it is. No questions asked. And this is what makes Saad ibn Muaz Saad ibn Muaz. So now they started marching along and they camped at the plains of Badr. And this is now 16th of Ramadan in the evening. So when they camped, one of the Sahabi al-Hubbab, he asked the Prophet, Ya Rasulullah, is this place inspired by Allah to stay here, or is it a military strategy or your own opinion? So the Prophet replied that this is my opinion. In which case, Al-Hubab replied that in this case, may I suggest we move our camp to the main water wells so that we can cut off the water supply of the enemies. And the Prophet basically took the mashwara and then he moved to the water wells. Now imagine if the Muslims are by the water wells and the kuffar cannot go to the water wells, what will happen? They will be thirsty, isn't it? Because there is no water there. The only source of water is where? With the Muslims. And that was a very good strategy. And it is known that Prophet Muhammad SAW at times would seek advice. And when he would be given advice, then he would think about it. And if it looked reasonable, he would follow the advice as well. And this is called shura. In Islam, it is a very important component of our deen to take mashwara and to give a good mashwara. So if someone comes to you and asks for your opinion or your suggestion, it is obligatory on us as Muslims to give a good mashwara, to give a good suggestion or an advice. And if you don't have a good advice, then don't give it. Just excuse yourself. Okay, I can't give it. It's not my field. I can't think of a good thing. So be it. But if someone comes to you, give a good advice. Always give a good advice. Now, because Saad ibn Muaz was experienced in wars as well, because we learned many months ago that the Madinites had been engaged in wars for 10 years before the Prophet was given his prophethood. So these guys knew what to do. So what he did was he made a tent behind the lines and he put few people as guards to the Prophet. And he said to him, you have tried to stay back. So in case we are only 300 plus, if we all die, so we will die, no problem. But these guards will take you back to Medina so that you guys can live for another day and then fight another day as well. Although Prophet is Prophet, so he would basically go on the front lines, fight, and then come back, do du'as, then go back, fight, come back. And we'll talk about it in the next class as well. The Prophet in the entire Badr, he used to go up, fight, and then come back into his tent, pray, then go back, fight, and then come back and pray. A night before the battle, the Prophet stayed in sajda and just prayed and prayed and prayed until He dozed off for a short while, like literally few minutes, in which Allah revealed Qurani ayat in Surah Al-Anfal, a few ayat, and Allah gave him good news. And also what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did on the night of Badr is Allah showered them with rain and gave them slumber, as in made them drowsy so that they can sleep. Now, what happens when a person sleeps and wakes up fresh? He's fresh, right? But what happened on the side of the kuffar, on the enemy lines? They had more rain, which made them anxious, which meant they couldn't sleep all night. So when they woke in the morning, they were all tired. Whereas Muslims, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them a very peaceful sleep. Now, Surah Al-Anfal has about 70, 75 ayat, I think. But this entire surah covers Ghazwa Badr, entire surah, top to bottom. So in ayat 11, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He overwhelmed you with drowsiness, giving you security from Him, and sent down upon you from the sky rain, which would purify you. So what happened was when rain fell, not only Muslims could sleep, but they got this peace in their heart. So the anxiety went away. The anxiety to fight 1,200, 1,300 people, no arms, nothing, everything went away, and they were like steadfast, fast. They were like, that's fine. Allah has given us sakina, Allah has given us peace now. On the day of the battle, Utbah bin Rabi'a tried his best that the war doesn't happen. He went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth to try to avoid the war. However, Abu Jahl, basically being the father of ignorance, he said something to Utbah which was very derogatory. And in that, his Jahili instinct took the best of him, and he then came to fight. Now, similarly, Iblis, as I said in my last lecture, took a human form of Suraka ibn Malik, and he came along with the enemy army to say, I'm with you guys, go on and fight. But when Iblis saw the angels coming down, he could see Jibrail and he could see other 1,000 angels come down. He was scared. He was like, oh goodness, we are not going, no one is going, the enemies are not going to win the war today, because he could see the angels come down, and he fled the field. While he was fleeing, a person tried to stop him, and Iblis actually turned into his Iblis form, and he threw that guy up and down and said, what you see or what I see, you cannot see. Today, you guys cannot win. And he just fled the whole thing. And this is the second time up until now that we have seen that Iblis has taken a human form. First, in Darul Nadwa, when he was part of the plot to assassinate the Prophet. And second, today. Now, while the whole battle field was lining up, the Prophet did a military tactic that to date is used in modern military warfare. And this is called Saffan Saffa, means row after row, row after row. So what he did was he made people into rows, even though it's just 313 or 315 people, but he made rows of people. So people with the arrow stay behind second or third row. People with javelins or shields stay on the first row. And then there are other people who are like infantry, who are one-to-one combats. They are in the last row. And that's how I basically made the rows. Now, in those days, there used to be a thing called Mubaraza, which means duel. I'll come to the battlefield afterwards. So in this type of duel, in Mubaraza, in Islamic history, when these Jahili kuffar used to fight, they would send 2 or 3 people to fight 2 or 3 people of the opponents. So when they asked who is going to stand up, 3 Ansar immediately stood up and said, we will fight. And when they stood up, Utbah bin Rabi'a, he said, we are not here to fight you because you guys are Medina people. We have no enmity with you. And then he said to the Prophet, he said, O Muhammad, send us people of high stature. the people who could meet our stature. Imagine they are in battlefield, and even now these guys are thinking about their status, their elite class, that the elite would like to meet elite in a combat. What rubbish! First, you guys are doing wrong, but you are also thinking about the elitism even now. So Utbah bin Rabi'a, his brother Shaiba bin Rabi'a, and his son Walid bin Utbah, they three come for the Mubaraza. And from the Prophet's side, he sends Ubaidah bin Harisa, Hamza bin Abdul Muttalib, and Ali bin Abu Talib. All three are immediate relatives of the Prophet, as in highly elite Qurayshis. Hamza bin Abdul Muttalib is his chacha, his uncle, for those who don't know what chacha means. Ali bin Abu Talib is his cousin, son of Abu Talib. And Ubaidah bin Harisa is also his cousin. Now, what happens is, as soon as these three come in the Maidan, in the field, Hamza immediately pounces on Shaiba and kills him. So did Ali pounces on Walid and kills him. So these two people were killed instantaneously, like not even a minute into the Mubaraza or into the duel. Whereas Utbah basically sliced the leg of Ubaidah, who was a Muslim. But Ubaidah eventually killed Utbah with the help of Hamza and Ali. So end of the day, all three who came from the Kuffar side, they were killed immediately in the first 5 minutes of the battle. Now, before the battle began, the Prophet raised his hands all the way up as if towards the heaven. I can't show you guys, but inshallah in next class we can show that. You take your hands all the way up. So this was a desperate situation. So the Prophet took his hands all the way up and he started making this dua. The dua continued and continued and continued until his upper garment fell off. When it fell off, Abu Bakr came, took the garment, put it on him, and hugged him and said, Ya Rasulullah, Allah has, Allah, enough, like this is enough. Allah will listen to you and Allah will give you what you have asked. Just leave it now. He couldn't see the Prophet, the emotions. Imagine the Prophet's hands all the way up. The Prophet is looking up to the sky and he's making such a dua that we don't know, but Abu Bakr can see the whole thing. And he comes and says, enough, Ya Rasulullah, enough. Allah will give you what you are asking. And as the Prophet was bringing his hands down, he went into a trance. So whenever he would get a wahi, he would actually go into a trance, unless Jibreel would come in front of him in human form. And there Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed good news through Jibreel that we are sending 1,000 angels for you. And Jibreel himself, the Prophet said that the good news is here. Jibreel himself has come down on his horse with his turban on, which shows that even angels have horses and angels wear something, so he has his turban on and he has his sword. So which means that even angels have these things. And Allah reveals in Ayat 9 in Surah Anfal, when you asked help of your Lord, he answered you, indeed, I'll reinforce you with 1,000 from the angels, following one another. Now, after this, what Prophet did was, he basically took the sand in his hand and threw it towards the kuffar. Now, by will of Allah, the sand went and hit each and every person in the enemy lines. One fist of sand, what does it? What is it? Nothing really. But Battle of Badr is nothing but miracles. Everything that is happening in Badr is just miracle after miracle. And Allah reveals in Ayat 17, and you threw, not when you threw, but it was Allah who threw that he might test the believers with a good test. Now, there are quite a few incidences in Badr. Obviously, there is no chronological order because there was no one who was taking a history of it. But I'll go through one, two, or three incidences today, and inshallah in next class we'll talk about a few more incidences, and then how the kuffar were killed, where they were thrown, what happened, and then we will inshallah conclude Badr most likely in our next class, so that when we go on holidays, we have completed the topic of Badr. One of the incidences that happened was of Umair bin Hammam. Now this guy, he was eating dates, khajur, he was eating dates. And the Prophet ﷺ said, go and fight and embrace heavens whoever fights, because the diameter of the heaven, or the place he'll get in heaven, is as big as the distance between earth and the samawat, as in the first heaven, at least the first heaven. So this guy, Umair, he said, as in, like trivialized it, or said, as in, what is this? The Prophet ﷺ said, what did you do? Why are you doing this? So he said, Ya Rasulullah, what, like, I want to be in Jannah. So he doesn't want, for him, he was trivializing that I don't want a place afterwards, but I really want it now. Guys, someone has unmuted their phone. Please mute yourselves. Okay. So the Prophet ﷺ said to him, you will be in Jannah as well. So when the Prophet assured him that you will be in Jannah as well, then he said, if my dates are the one keeping me away from Jannah, then I'm not going to finish my dates. He threw his dates and he charged towards the enemy lines. And with such a zeal and passion, he was the first Muslim to be martyred. So he was the first Shaheed on the day of Badr. Now, in another incidents afterwards, we'll talk about, I think there are quite a few where one of the Sahabi, he basically captured someone, and no, he was running behind a kafir, a Qurayshi, and he heard a whip, and someone said, "Go forth, Hazum, go forth." And then he saw the kafir just die. Now he came back and he told the Prophet about this, that I was running behind a kafir with my sword in my hand, and before I could lash at him, I heard a whip, and someone said, "Go, Hazum, go." And then this kafir died. So the Prophet said, that was the angel from the third heaven, and Hazum was his horse. So he basically asked his horse to go fast, and he whipped that kafir. Another Sahabi, Ukasha bin Mehsan al-Asdi, he was fighting with his sword to an extent that his sword broke down in pieces. He came back running to the Prophet and he said, my sword is broken down. Give me something to fight. Give me something to fight. The Prophet didn't have anything. The Prophet picked up a stick and gave it to him. Here you go. Imagine you are in the middle of a fight with everyone with metal armor, swords, bow and arrows, and the Prophet gave him stick. Can anyone tell me what would he have done then with the stick? Come on, guys. Unmute. What would he have done with the stick?
Turn it into a snake.
Oh, come on. That's Musa alayhi Islam. So this Sahabi. All right, leave it. So this Sahabi, Ukasha, he took the stick and he started running after the kuffar. And as he raised his stick up, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala converted that stick into a sword. And that sword was with him until his death. He died as a shaheed in later wars in the door of Umar, Hazrat Umar. And when he died, the Sahaba who were there in Badr with him, they asked that this sword has been with him since Badr by the miracle of Allah. What do we do with this sword? So Umar said, this sword will go with him in his grave because this was a gift from Allah to him. So he's the Sahabi which had his sword buried with him in the grave. Otherwise, Muslims, we cannot have anything buried with us in the grave. We don't take anything else. The only thing that goes into a grave is our own human body. He is the only Sahabi that had a sword with him, because this is the same thing, the piece of wood that became a sword. So this was a gift and a miracle from Allah for him. So and imagine the taqwa of these guys. You are in a fierce battle. You are just 300 people. When he's given the stick, he didn't say, Ya Rasulullah, are you kidding me? You're giving me a piece of stick to fight with swords? What did he do? He did not even ask a question. He did not frown. He did not raise his eyebrows. He did not say anything. He just ran back to fight. And as he raised his hand with that stick, Allah converted that stick into a sword. This is the power of Iman. This is the power of Iman. If we do something with the utmost conviction that this is something Allah has told us, even though it is so unfavorable, I will still do it. Allah will convert it into a blessing for us. But when we say conviction and do something good, it means something good, like really good. So if we want to do something nice, which our religion says to do not be afraid of your resources. Do not think you do not have resources. If you think resources are provided by Allah, no one on this planet can give us resource. So if you want to do something good, you don't have money to do it. Put your step forward in the way of Allah and say, Ya Allah, I'm going forward. I don't have money, but I want to do this for the sake of Allah, for the sake of your pleasure. Allah will create resources for you. Allah will create blessings for you. Allah will turn that thing into an opportunity for you. The first thing we learn from Badr is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Anfal, you have to raise your hands, rest of the things angels will do. That means what? You have to take first step, and then rest is with Allah. Allah will take care of rest. So if I were to think that, okay, I need to do this charity work, or I need to do this for the sake of Allah, I need to do this to make Allah happy, but I don't have enough money, I don't have enough friends to make it work, I don't have this, I don't have that, don't worry about it. Take that first step and leave it with Allah then. Allah will make it happen. And this is what we learn from Badr. Quantity does not matter. It is the quality of taqwa, quality of iman that matters the most for us Muslims. So this is what we need to learn. We need to go back, sit and think that are we doing quantity or should we just focus on the quality? And once we are able to think, then just do quality work, quality worship, just quality. You don't have to pray 100 nafil to make Allah happy. Even if you pray just two rakat, but that is from utmost depth of your heart, Allah will be happy with you, you know. So sometimes we think if we give more, if we do more, Allah will become happy. No, Allah is not going to become happy if we do more or give more. Allah becomes happy with our intentions and our quality of deed. So Allah will become happy if we just do something good, thinking that, oh, we are just doing it to make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala happy, and that's about it. And Allah will become happy and give us so much that you can't even imagine. Now with this, coming to the next class, inshallah, next class we will do in Aisha Masjid at 4:30 p.m. Maghrib is 4 p.m. So you guys can come at Maghrib or just after Maghrib. Please don't be late. If you want, come earlier. First, we will talk about Badr so that we can complete the session on Badr. So that when you guys come back in January, we can do a revision session on Badr alone. You know, I don't want you guys to forget it so soon. And the thing that you will do, each one of you who will come or who has attended the Seerah sessions and will come, is one, what is the thing that you have found exciting throughout the Seerah you have learned up until now, or you would have said, oh, wow, so cool, or wow, that's so amazing, wow, that's great. So one thing, at least one thing that wowed you If not, then try to find something which would wow you. Second, is there anything that changed in your life? Or if not, then that's fine. Can there be anything that you can change through Seerah, through going through the Seerah of the Prophet? If so, discuss that one thing only. Lastly, everyone has to explain at least, or not at least, just one waqia or incident from the Seerah. So you have to discuss one waqia, everyone. So on an average, all of you will have 5 minutes per student. So inshallah, if we have 10, 15, whatever number, we will make through it. And then we'll have food, some refreshments, etc. after you have given your talk, right? If I give you refreshment before you have given your talk, then you'll be too full and you might feel drowsy then, I don't want to make you drowsy. So inshallah, we'll do this next week, 4:30 p.m. Aisha Masjid. We will be there by Maghrib. So inshallah, try to make it, but please complete the form so that we know how many people are going to make it. And do remember to do all the three things and come prepared with the three things I've mentioned. Is it all right?
To bring any food, or like, should it be good if we all bring some food on the day, and then you won't have to do that much?
Who's this? Who gave this idea?
Zainab.
Okay, yeah. So I think Sabine, auntie is working with your parents and everyone. If someone would like to bring, they can bring. There's no harm in bringing anything as a sharing. Um, but it's up to everyone. So, but yeah, it's you. Your moms can discuss it with Sabine.
Food donations are welcome. Please bring food.
Food donations are welcome. Yeah, right. Okay. So inshallah, you guys are going to come 4:30. Do you guys feel excited about coming face to face, or is it like,
Yeah.
oh goodness me, we have to come face to face?
I only know like 2 people. That's all I'm going to be talking to, honestly.
Is it?
Yeah, like me and Abdullah. That's it.
So no, but do you guys feel like, oh bummer, we have to come, or is it like, no, yeah, let's
No, we're
go.
excited.
Excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
The best part is there will be food, right? So inshallah, nothing can go wrong when you have food there. So that's the best part, right?
Good.
You can't get the food wrong. So that's the best part, especially in the masjid, right? So inshallah, let's meet next Sunday. 5 minutes per student. You have to bring your things prepared, what you are going to speak. All righty. I will leave this PDF as usual on the Skype. And if you guys have any difficulty understanding anything while you're preparing, write me down on Skype, and inshallah, I'll try to explain it. If you have something that you want to talk about, but you want something more about it, you want to know a little bit more, that's absolutely fine. You can just put me a message here. All right. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Wa alaikum salam.